let's get into our topic today. Earlier this morning, we were talking about how rough it is for buyers, our own buyers and others
Yeah.
in this market, and really the attitude and grit that you need to survive in this market and try to keep a good attitude at the same time. But it's tough. So I know we were venting a bit on some recent deals that we're trying to make happen. But I thought, why don't we go ahead, Darren? I'll go through some of this article we were referring to, and we'll plug in from there. So,
Cool.
all right. So, spring is in the air, as we know. It just started. This is entitled "What This Spring Means for Real Estate." Buyers beware. Industry professionals painted a picture of a competitive market that only stands to get more intense as the weather gets nicer and more buyers come out this spring. All right, so there we are on the horses. The first day of spring is on Saturday. In a year of real estate that's been like no other, what will the spring market bring? Vaccines are rolling out and inventory remains tight. So what can agents expect? Most industry professionals Inman spoke with painted a picture of a competitive market that only stands to get more intense as the weather gets nicer and more buyers come out. This really strikes something that you just said before we got on. So this is a national real estate media platform, really more for agents. But yeah, whether you're in Florida, New York, or Los Angeles, or wherever, you're not special. We're all feeling the same effects of this market.
Right.
So here we are. This is a good point. So here we've got low inventory will continue to be an issue. What I'm hearing is everything is a fight. Monty Tai, an agent with Coldwell Banker in Salt Lake City, Utah, told Inman, "I've never seen it like this." Tai, who largely works with architecturally significant luxury properties in the area, initially thought that more affordable, lower-priced homes were the ones seeing the most market competition. But recently, a number of Tai's $1 million plus listings have received multiple offers, some at hundreds of thousands of dollars above asking. Inventory is low, and I think we might be the hottest market in the nation. Yeah, careful. Right now, he said, I think right now everybody is getting multiple offers above asking price. The inventory shortage has become so much of a problem up in Minneapolis, Minnesota, that Hannah Smith, executive real estate geek, in quotes, with the Property Geeks team at eXp Realty, said most agents have taken to helping buyers make offers on coming soon status properties sight unseen. Although agents in Minnesota aren't allowed to show coming soon properties, there's no rule against writing an offer on one. Right now in Minnesota, at least we have a crazy shortage, Smith told Inman. Obviously, that's national too, but we're seeing lots of homes being sold sight unseen. Off market is kind of where it's at right now for realtors' sake. There's been some speculation that as more of the U.S. population gets vaccinated, more sellers will feel comfortable coming to market, which could free up some inventory. However, based on their conversation with sellers, both Smith and Redfin chief economist Daryl Fairweather told Inman that availability of vaccines seems to be a less impactful factor for sellers. I don't think there's a huge portion of homeowners, Fairweather said. I think most people aren't selling simply because they can't afford to buy again. So true.
Right. So this has been a theme that, you repeat something so often and it's just like it becomes firsthand cliche. Why repeat it again? But yeah, it's really that. Where do you go? You always deal with this when you're considering selling. It's the first question we ask potential seller to make sure they have a place to go. And so many people are sitting. A lot of people don't like leaving communities. Portion of people, they don't want to leave the city. It's what they know here in LA. It's what they spend a lot of time here. But
sure,
they can certainly get more in other places. But wow, yeah, that is, I believe, the biggest factor.
Yeah. Let me just do this one more paragraph. In all honesty, it hasn't been a hot topic for most people I've been in direct contact with. Smith said, there's been realtors speculating that, more vaccines that are given out are going to cause more people more comfort in selling. But I don't know if that's the top driving factor of whether people are selling or not. I think it's just a matter of us as realtors as well, getting out there and trying to explain, without coming across as a salesperson, of course, how good they would have it as a seller right now. So yeah, let's unpack some of this. So they started with low inventory. We're experiencing the same thing. Another recurring theme. What else?
So, I think if we go back to our title here, full contact sport, it's tough out there. It's the bottom line. If you're going to be a buyer and you're going to jump in to this, you've got to be willing to make some concessions. And we talked about our 2 buyer closings this past week, and it almost seemed like the concessions never ended, right up to the end, and that's always tough. But the question, I think, the most important question, first off, we want to prep them as an agent, but is it worth it? Is it worth getting into that full contact situation? And personally, as agents, and I know we're biased, but I think it is.
Yeah.
And you just have to keep your eye on the big picture. We brought up 2 scenarios, getting initiated into a frat and like Hell Week in sports. There's no one that enjoys those 2. I mean, maybe there is, but I think you got to have a few screws loose if you're truly enjoying those dynamics. It's about what's coming on the other end of it.
Yeah.
And gosh, those 2 would not be far off from trying to get a house these days.
Well, as you're saying about Hell Week, or it's like, it's one thing to watch the game, and I know a lot of us as buyers are doing that on Zillow, running through all these great listings. Maybe you're right within reach of it. It's certainly a form of therapy, I think, in the last year or so that we've been living in COVID. But I saw a really funny meme, man. It had Dave Chappelle, I think, as his junkie character, and below it said, Zillow, you got any more for me to look at? Because he had reached the very end of Zillow. So, but yeah, very, very different situation when you're sitting in there in the catbird seat and trying to accomplish your dream. It's a very emotional thing for all of us. It is. It's a big decision. So
all these little references. They had that thing on Saturday Night Live where they were replaced watching Zillow property rather than porn. Right? That was awesome.
Yeah.
It's an obsession for a lot of people, but it also seems, out of reach for many, and it's worth the fight. You got to be willing to step into it and be prepared for the fight. Some people get knocked out quickly.
And not that I'm endorsing any sort of fraternity, but once you do get into the fraternity of homeowners, a lot of great benefits, and I think you've got a newfound respect for people trying to buy houses. That's for sure. Yeah.
Look, the system is, and I think it's really all about taxes, but the system is rigged. To be a homeowner is to be on the positive side of that system. And there are moments where you just say, are you going to be on the positive side or the negative side? It's like you're going to struggle a lot. It's always going to be hard to gain footing if you're a long-term renter, unless that's what you seek and you want the mobility and the flexibility, and then that's fine. But you're always at the mercy of appreciating rents.
Okay. All right. Well, let me continue. So mortgage rates and home prices may inch up even further. Since they bottomed out at the beginning of 2021, mortgage rates have been creeping higher and are now nearly what they were 1 year ago, a potentially concerning point for home buyers who have been steadily increasing home prices, have seen steadily increasing home prices over the last year. Earlier this week, the Federal Reserve pledged to keep interest rates low until 2023. However, executive mortgage banker at William Ravis Mortgage, Melissa Kahn, told Inman that rates could still continue to rise over the next several weeks, particularly in the wake of President Biden's $1.9 trillion stimulus package entering the market. I think, unfortunately, when the flowers are coming out of the ground, mortgage rates are coming out of the ground as well. Khan told Inman. With the combination of, obviously, with the Democrats in the Senate, with the Democratic president, the fact that this massive stimulus bill just passed, and then there's going to be so much more money put into the economy, that's all inflationary. And higher inflation means higher interest rates. And now the markets are just anticipating, with all the spending that is now happening, that we're going to see inflation. You want to say anything through that, Derek?
Sure. I mean, it's not uncommon in the past where inflation actually, on some level, can help stabilize prices. Owning real estate can be a hedge against inflation, meaning that as prices rise, your asset, your costs stay fixed, but your price also increases. It's, again, a part of the system that really helps you to own assets in an inflationary environment, which is what I think one of the biggest drivers of what's pushing the market and the investors to get out there and buy more property.
Right. Stay with assets, right? So it continues. It's sort of a double-edged sword, Khan added. We've got money going into the economy, and that's going to be great for people, and more jobs will come back into the marketplace, but it will cause rates to go up. Now, I think that interest rates will go up this spring, but that once this fiscal spending package has been spent, that we will see interest rates settle back down. The news of continued mortgage rate increases, of course, won't be welcome to many homebuyers, but Khan noted that buyers can still try to offset higher rates by exploring options like adjustable rate mortgages and purchasing points to lower their rate. Unfortunately, home prices will likely continue to rise into spring as well. Fairweather said, particularly as consumers have to largely remain in a holding pattern as the pandemic continues before using their dollars elsewhere. We report out weekly data on national home price growth, and it just keeps setting records every single week we report it out. And we're not even into full spring selling season yet, so maybe we'll keep breaking records. Anything to say? I heard a breath.
Yeah. No, it is. The expectation is that even with rising interest rates, the consumption of the low inventory will continue to happen, which will keep prices up.
Well, we got a text from a lender of ours that we tend to refer people to. And on Sunday, he's texting us, hey, it's gone up to mid threes now, but please let your people know those are still great rates historically. It might take out, as we were saying earlier, some buyers that are on the lower end, these interest rates going up. But, there's always a winner, there's always a loser, unfortunately. So let me continue. I think how long prices continue to rise also depends on when things more generally get back to normal, she added. I think that once people have options to spend money on things besides housing, people will choose renting as opposed to buying a home. Spending their money on vacations and things like that. But I think for the spring selling season, it's going to look a lot like it does look right now.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think certainly people are spending much of their money on online shopping these days. Vacations, yes, and people will be spending more money on vacations for sure.
Yeah. Well, what I was thinking was, the long range effect of the stimulus package. I heard it's going to be over years to get this all done. So that really speaks to the size of it. Yeah, I don't know how sudden some of this is going to be, but
I think what we're going to start seeing is how city, county, state governments are going to be impacted by this, because they've obviously lost a lot of revenue. So hopefully the scaling of the package is big enough to minimize the impact for those entities.
Okay, so let's continue. Even New York City is seeing renewed activity. For a long time, New York City was the epicenter of the pandemic in the U.S., and the trauma inflicted on the city caused palpable damage to the real estate market. As people reevaluated their lives, many New Yorkers left the city for more spread out suburbs or entirely different states. The real estate market slowed to a crawl, prices dropped, property owners took apartments off the market, and some developers started selling condos in bulk at discounted prices. So my comment to that is, I was actually reading that in New York, property owners, multi-income unit property owners were keeping properties off the market to try to stimulate the rents. So that's not good. But
Yeah.
but now things are just starting to pick up again. Agents in the city told Inman the market has really turned on a dime. There's just a ton of activity. I mean, I had listings that started during the pandemic. Stuff I've had on the market for a very long time that hadn't sold, which have now sold. Franco added that with more and more contracts being signed every month, and even the resurfacing of bidding wars, he wouldn't be surprised if an inventory shortage was on the horizon for the city after its prolonged market lull. Well, you don't have that. I have a positive outlook for sellers for the spring. And unless we get more inventory, I think it could be a little frustrating for buyers because I think people want to buy. I think they are feeling confident about New York again, and the interest rates are so low and prices have come down. So that's like the perfect storm for people to come back in. So I think we could have a little bit of an inventory shortage. That's true. Anything to say to that?
And New York is such a metropolitan city, and people are all on top of each other. I think they got hit the biggest. LA was built more of a suburban spread out, although getting denser and will continue to get denser. We certainly didn't feel it didn't impact us in that way. Mm-hmm. Our inventory's been low. It's been a seller's market all through COVID, maybe a little blip early on.
Yeah. So a lot of the same as I read ahead. But we went out with the client who I had already seen this house. It was on the market forever. They did some adjustments, which were good, but it sold in I think 3 or 4 days. Had 12 offers. Totally different world. Yeah. So this is speaking to agents. Agents have to be savvy and creative. Dwindling inventory in the Montgomery, Alabama area has spurred Jeremy Kelly, broker at Kelly Realty LLC, to help his agents try to think outside the box when presenting offers on properties. From presenting offers sight unseen, to waiving contingencies, to writing seller love letters, to showing homes late into the night, Kelly said his agents are doing whatever they can to help their clients win bidding wars. Over in Birmingham, Kelly said he knows of buyers that are even contributing cash above a property's appraised value. We're having to get really, really, really creative in how we present offers and how we best try to angle to position our clients to have the best chance to win the bidding war. Because literally, if it's priced right and the condition is right, we're seeing multiple offers within 24 hours. So as a broker, our job is to continue to equip our agents and study outside markets as well that might be doing a little bit better or a little bit hotter than us, and try to bring those tactics back to Montgomery so that our agents can, thrive and stay ahead of the curve.
Like you said, we're ahead of that curve. All that's old news to us. We're trying to find new ways,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Fairweather, who's from Redfin, told Inman that this is the strongest seller's market seen in the country since 2006, and it doesn't look like it will get any better for buyers moving deeper into spring. I think that buyers are going to have a rough time. I don't really know how to sugarcoat it any other way. Fairweather recommended agents stay on top of knowing what kinds of offers are effective for the specific kinds of properties their clients are looking at in their market. Really in tune with what seems to be winning offers in your local market to give you an edge, and then educate your buyer on that so that they don't get worn out after losing offer after offer. They come in the first time, and they can offer with an offer that's really strong and has a good chance of winning. That's kind of what we were going to talk about. That's really the crux of it. You got to stay tough.
You do, and we often say this. Try not to get emotionally attached to a property. You get as connected and attached as you need to, and you should definitely be interested in it. Submit your offer, then do your best to detach, and that's harder for some people than others. Yep. So it's become like a really important skill to manage as an agent to help buyers stay focused and help them get through the context board.
Well, recently we had a wife who we could tell emotionally it was getting to her, and as the article just said, some of this you just can't sugarcoat. It is some reality, and if it's wearing you out, we understand. We have one client who at this point she wants us to look first, and we can put in offers, but that makes it easier for her to deal with this.
Right.
So it tests a lot of things, relationships and your own fortitude to get to your dreams. But we have had success, so you really can't give up.
Sure.
And on the other hand, you know what? You maybe need to stop. Maybe you need to wait a year or so. Maybe the position you're in right now needs to be strengthened, and you can help that in a year's time. And we're not against that either. So
we've got the comment I made earlier to you was we've got a couple of buyers out there that are kind of putting their toe in the water, and they keep pulling their toe out. So they're wanting to enter. They definitely ask a lot of good questions, and they're engaged. And
right.
But gosh, they keep getting just kind of their personal instincts are telling them they're not ready to completely dive into this and deal with it.
Yeah. And the other thing is, we can be led around as buyers by price because we want it so bad. But don't completely subjugate your ideals or what you're looking for in a true home only for a home because of a price. That's not good either.
I say, and maybe some people learn this before me because I'm a value seeker, but people with a lot of money overpay for things all the time, and you kind of have to embrace that in today's world, even if you feel you're overpaying a little bit. Yeah. Trust me, it happens all the time with uber rich people, and in the long run, it works for them. So as a buyer's agent, number one, our job is to help get you an accepted offer. Clearly, we want it to be at the lowest price, but it does no good if you're not the accepted offer.
Yeah. Okay, well, great, man. Guys, if you have any questions about that, please let us know. We're here, and you can vent on us.